Your voice is amazing. You can make people laugh. You can make them cry. You can make people buy things. And you might even be able to make people change their minds. And if you're lucky, you might be able to make some people fall in love. It's a powerful tool that you've got. And in today's video, what I'm going to do is take a look at some techniques you can employ to use that powerful tool you have to actually get voiceover work. Hello, hope you're in fine voice. Now, I want in this video to go through 8 different techniques you can employ that will hopefully drive people to listen to your voice, listen to your voiceovers, and all being well, book you for some work. And I think if you follow these 8 steps, it should really help. So starting with number 1, and that is to warm up your voice. Don't go into a voiceover session completely cold. You've got to give your voice a little bit of a jump start, and that means doing various things that will actually get your larynx moving, really. So you could start with a kind of going from high to low and right down to the bottom. You might also want to do more of a singer's exercise, which is me 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 me, and just get your lips going as well as warming up your larynx. Or you may want to do a little technique that I've employed before, which you can find on one of my other videos, which is where you go through vowel and consonant combination. So you go abita, ebita, ibita, obita, ubita, akita, ekita, ikita, okita, ukita, adita, edita, edita, odita, udita, and all the way through to Z, or Z if you're watching in North America. So these warm-up exercises will really help and get you started. I like to talk about physicality in voiceovers. I think voiceovers are a very physical thing. So it's not just sitting in front of a microphone just chatting away, although that's often the impression you're trying to give, but it involves using your hand movements, your body language, facial expressions, and so on. And what I would do is try standing up to do some voiceovers and experiment a bit, and then try it sitting down, see what the difference is. Often if you're standing up, that will help the air come up through your lungs and up through your voice box, and you've got more control and more power there. That certainly works for commercials and high energy pieces. And for more intimate things like doing an audiobook, for example, you may want to sit down and be a little bit closer to the mic and just have that intimacy there. And just by sitting down, that helps. But certainly using your hand movements, your arm movements, you can punctuate, for example. If you want to do bullet points, you may want to move your arms around. Don't forget, no one can see you. As long as you don't hit the mic, you should be fine. So being physical with your voiceovers can often give a really good performance. One of the elements often neglected by beginners in voiceovers is pace. This is the speed, the tempo at which you're talking, you're reading your script. And some beginners make the fatal error of reading everything at the same speed. But of course, in real life, that doesn't happen. In conversational speech, you might be pondering a bit and talking a bit like that, and then you might get quite excited and say, and you never guess what happened. She just walked round the corner and then knocked my coffee over. So vary your pace according to the script. A slightly faster pace might work better than a slower one. And again, it's all about experimentation, but don't keep everything at the same speed all the time. The next technique to consider is pitch, that is to say how high or low your voice is. So you may want to use higher notes, for example, using your head voice for lighter things where there's a freshness to it. And you may want to add more gravity by going lower and using more of your chest voice. And you can also use the mic as well. By getting closer to the mic, it brings out lower, deeper notes. So experiment with the higher one using your head voice and seeing what sort of scripts work best with that, and also ones where perhaps you're lowering your voice slightly just to give a sense of authority. The fifth technique is using volume. And by volume, i.e. loudness, I don't mean the amount that you're turning your mic up by, or your interface, or your software. I mean the actual volume projection, if you like, from your voice. Let me try and demonstrate it to you. So I've got a quick, rather naff line here, but let me try and show you what a difference in volume can make. So let's pretend this is kind of the beginning of a story or something. The morning dew settled on the fells and glistened in the sunlight. Okay, so that's me actually giving some projection, quite a bit of volume there. Now let me try and halve that volume and see what it sounds like. The morning dew settled on the fells and glistened in the sunlight. You see, I've put less effort into it, less volume, less loudness, and I think it sounds better already. So again, experiment with it, because sometimes you'll need to turn up that volume when you want to get that energy and that projection. Other times you won't, and you'll want to ease back, because sometimes in voiceovers, less is actually more. The next tip is using the pause. Pauses can be incredibly powerful if you use them appropriately and usually sparingly. I'm just going to try another one of these little lines again and see what we think. So this is just a quick sentence without a pause. Imagine a world where green energy was all around us. And now let's try putting in a pause just after imagine. And by a pause, I mean probably a beat. It's probably half a second, something like that. Let's give it a go. Imagine a world where green energy was all around us. Can you hear the difference? Imagine, short pause, a world where green energy was all around us. Just that little dramatic pause was enough to kind of add some drama to it, wasn't it? And just enrich the whole thing. So again, it's about trial and error, seeing where you can put a pause to make a difference to the script and really bring it to life. The next technique is one of my favourites in terms of instant impact, if you like, when we're working with our students in the studio. If I say to them, that's sounding all right, however, let's try a smile, that's when it's often transformative and suddenly it sounds so much better. You may know that singers are often told to smile when they're singing because it gets the upper notes through and just makes it sound friendlier and warmer. So I'm going to try and demonstrate it with one of these little scripts again. Let's try it without the smile first of all. When we moved everything to the next room, the difference was incredible. Okay, it was all right. And now let's adopt that cheesy grin and see what happens. It's quite hard to do, actually. You've got to think funny thoughts. When we moved everything to the next room, the difference was incredible. Okay, so I was smiling not just with my mouth, but with my eyes as well. And I think you'll notice there was a discernible difference there between the kind of plain version, if you like, the unsmiley version, and the smiling version. Now, obviously, you can't do this if you were doing a documentary about death, doom and destruction. It would be ridiculous to do that. But with a lot of scripts, even fairly dull ones, you can bring them to life by getting that nice smile going. So have a go and see what difference it makes once you've smiled, not only with your mouth, but with your eyes as well. And I think you'll really agree, it warms it up. And finally, technique number 8. And this is really, I suppose, wrapping everything up. And it's authenticity. It's being credible and being believable. That's what you're trying to do. You're not trying to put on a funny voice. You're not trying to be somebody else. You're not trying to be voiceover woman or voiceover man. You're trying to be you, okay? And it's being comfortable in your own skin. I'm going to try those lines again, see if I can just sort of demonstrate authenticity to you, as opposed to a voiceover performance, which would be different. So I'm going to go back to that original script I read earlier. And this is kind of with voiceover, with my voiceover voice, which I shouldn't be really employing. The morning dew settled on the fells and glistened in the sunlight. Imagine a world where green energy was all around us. When we moved everything to the next room, the difference was incredible. Now, there's a lot of power there, fair bit of speed, and it was a bit voiceover-y, wasn't it? You know, it's a bit kind of, I don't know, actorish. So let me try and now do it au naturel as me, and trying not to give a performance, but trying to make it sound genuine, okay? Like I would do it in real life, if you like, and I didn't have a microphone here. The morning dew settled on the fells and glistened in the sunlight. Imagine a world where green energy was all around us. When we moved everything to the next... Sorry, that was a bad line there. When we moved everything to the next room, the difference was incredible. Okay, so obviously those lines don't make any sense at all when they're read continuously, but I was just trying to demonstrate there that kind of you don't always have to give a performance. You don't always have to be this voice actor. You can just be you. Authenticity is best defined as being comfortable in your own skin, in your own vocal skin, if you like, so that it's just coming out. It's just sort of natural. It's there. Probably that wasn't a brilliant demonstration, but hopefully you'll get the idea. That's what we're sort of aiming for. Anyway, those are the 8 techniques I think you should employ, and hopefully people will start to listen to your voiceovers and maybe start to book you for work. Thanks very much for watching today. Look after your voice and see you next time.